Hello and welcome. Thank you everyone for joining us. I'm so glad that people are here early because I've got a couple of things that I want to share with everyone early. First of all, I want to thank all of my guests for being here. Thank you, Junkshop, for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you, Jenni.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
And I am introducing a new guest that I have never had on before, introducing Atheist Moe.
Hi, everyone.
And so if there is anyone here that you are not already subscribed to, links to Junkshop's and Atheist Moe's channels are in the description. And a link to Jenni's Twitter is in the description if you want to talk to Jenni after the show and, discuss any issues that we discuss. One thing I need to get out of the way right away is this show is being brought to you by Ricardo Oliveira. It is an ungodly hour in the UK, and I recognize that all of my UK guests usually cannot make it to the end of the stream because it's already like 1 o'clock in the morning there. And Ricardo sent in a message early so that if it gets too late for him, that he can bow out. But Ricardo says, is NIFB Thought creeping into mainstream? And he said, yes, it is. If nothing else, by way of mainstream churchgoers that secretively see the NIFB social media and then take that with them to their church. It's the religious equivalent to the political opinion corridor. A little bit of background on how this stream came to be, and that is Ricardo, a couple of days ago, posted a TikTok onto into Twitter, which I found absolutely reprehensible. And I'm going to play that TikTok in just a moment, and we will use that as a basis for comments. There is some music in this TikTok, and so it is possible that this video will get demonetized because of the music in the TikTok, but I don't care because Ricardo has already sponsored the show with his super chat. So thank you very much for Ricardo. And here we go. I'm going to play the TikTok.
I just want to offer a trigger warning about homophobic slurs in the video I'm about to play, but it is a Facebook Live clip from a sermon for a pastor in Hurst, Texas.
And really when I think about the Pride Month that we have, I think the best word is just not appropriate. Unseemly. How filthy and abominable and degrading and disgusting. Why is every single company in our nation changing its logo to literally praising and supporting the most disgusting and most vile and putrid thing imaginable? And people get mad at me and they get mad at us for saying things like this. They get mad at preachers for saying this. But you know and I know that every normal person thinks it's gross. I mean, 95% of America thinks that the most disgusting thing imaginable is being a because it is. It's so gross. I don't have to convince people. And then you have to think, like, why in the world would every single company and our government and the media and just all the social media be constantly saying, like, let's support the most gross and disgusting thing ever? Because it's a spiritual blindness. Because control of the media. Because control of the government. Because control of these businesses. Because they love money, they love power, they love influence, and they're a bully. And you know what? They're bullying all these companies, and they're bullying our country, and they're bullying our leaders, and they're doing what? Doing their bidding for them. And the right thing to do to a bully is put a bullet in his head. It's not to back down. It's not to apologize. It's to put a bullet in his head. And you want to save America? Start there.
Okay. And here's the thing that absolutely gets me is I do not understand how anyone can get away with telling their congregation to commit murder.
Well, this is, I imagine, an independent church not affiliated with any organization that has brains.
If any one of us put out a video like that, not only would our posts be reported that someone want to turn us into the FBI for that kind of, they'll take our threats seriously. If I went on a video and says I want to kill you, kill them, they might take me seriously. And what if someone really does kill someone and it's affiliated with that church? I mean,
that's what I'm wondering.
There's got to be accountability to this. There's a certain point of speech that goes beyond hate, and that's it right there.
Mm-hmm.
Murder. Oh gosh, murders of LGBTQ people are well known, but I think I have to be fair in that I can't recall. No, I shouldn't say that. Pulse, the club Pulse was clearly a horrible assault on LGBTQ community by somebody with a religious bent. There's no doubt about that. None whatsoever. But as far as like individual murders and stuff that we hear about, I don't hear them connecting those to some fundamentalist thing or other. It's usually somebody who's responding with a gay panic or a gay panic, and blowing somebody away for that reason. So, he should not be saying these kinds of things, but I guess I'm really hoping his followers aren't stupid enough to take his words to heart, at least those sentences.
One of the things that I find really difficult is these people have children in these congregations. And I know, at least for Grayson Fritz, the pastor at All Scripture Baptist, he does not believe in Sunday school. He wants the children in the service. And if you watch the early videos before they changed their building, you can see children in the picture. Children are getting this message. Children are growing up with these ideas.
Pastor Steve Anderson has like 10 kids, doesn't he?
Yeah, just of his own. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he's perfectly fine to have a newborn baby in the crowd, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hadn't made that observation, but it's quite disturbing that they allow that. but then again, it's not surprising. I mean, I can recall back in the 80s and that where reporters would get into a militia training camp, and they would be indoctrinating, grade school age children in weaponry and racial hatred and all kinds of things like that. So it's not. It sounds like typical right-wing behavior to me, and that's not excusing it. It's just what we have. It's what they are.
Yeah. Jenni, this is somewhat new to me, but you are old hat at this. You've been seeing this your whole life. Do you think it's getting any worse, or is it just the same as it's always been?
Oh, it's getting much worse.
Okay.
And yet, back in the old days, if somebody, if there were some gay guys and they were trolling a restroom at some public park, late at night, when there aren't likely to be any children there, and they get beat up by somebody, it was some kind of spur of the moment thing with a bunch of young toughs and that sort of thing. What's going on today is organized, concerted effort, promoted by preachers like this, promoted by right-wing politicians and their careless attitudes and speeches, and so from that respect, yes, it's much worse today. that we have more rights today. There's things that we can do that we never could before. There's an amount of being able to be out that never was before, but it's matched with the ability to get murdered.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any question but that the orange guy enabled a lot of this. By speaking all of the lies that he did over the years, all of the hatred that he expressed over the years in his presidency, I think he has emboldened people to just say whatever they want to say, and watching that Trump got away with it, they can get away with it too.
He enticed terrorism on our community, and not just LGBTQ gay community, but everyone who doesn't agree with him.
So my main question is this starting to shape the thinking of the mainline churches? Are the mainline churches now, starting to adopt some of this thought pattern, or has that always been there? Thoughts on that?
It's always been there, but it hasn't always been as emboldened.
Okay.
It's been a sort of a nasty little undercurrent, but now it's become a full-on bloody tsunami.
I think mainstream churches got exactly like Junkshop is saying, that at one point, like in the 70s and stuff, when social pressure started to build to be accepting of LGBT folks, churches and the more conservative kind of went underground and still had their hatreds, but kept their mouth shut. Okay. And only said those things behind closed doors. And the emboldened part of it is absolutely true today, that these guys are free to say anything they want. Trump is smart enough, though, that he knows how to push the buttons without going over the cliff himself. He's a perfect gangster, which is how the classic gangster profile works. And push the people around you into doing the bad work, and you get to stay clean. And so that's what's going on with that prick. Oh, excuse me, that guy. And all right, that wasn't an accident.
That's okay. Hey, I don't care. Tonight, I don't care. There's a lot of words that I don't normally use that are completely appropriate tonight.
You get these jerks in the NIFB, though, and it's people are emboldened in numbers. They see themselves as this mighty little organization of all these independent Baptist churches who think they can say and do whatever they want. There's going to be a day of reckoning for it. It's going to happen. They may get much worse, and they may get organized in violence. They certainly wanted to do that with the Pride Parade. What was that, last year's or year before, where they wanted to counter a Pride Parade with an orchestra.
Yeah, last year they were going to actually last year they were going to do Halloween, which Jimmy Snow was going to have a field day with.
Oh yeah. That's right. It was the Halloween thing.
Yeah.
And they're telling their gun-toting idiots to if you feel threatened, remember the Second Amendment. It's okay, fine. You did say kill somebody, but that's certainly what you meant. And we all know that. They're so transparent. It's so simplistic and so juvenile. I'm going to be quiet for a minute or two here.
Rage says, I agree with Jenny. The usage of hate language makes Christianity look really bad in the modern secular world. I see a lot. Go ahead, Mo.
I've been looking at the chat while we're going along, and someone mentioned a while back that lesbians are not mentioned in the Bible. Well, they are. Luke 17, 34 and 35. They mention gay guys in 34, and they mention gay women in 35. And they claim that some of them were resurrected.
No, I shouldn't say that. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to be my usual inappropriate self.
Some of them went to heaven even though they were gay. Luke 17, 34 and 35.
Which verses are you referring to?
The King James Bible. Luke 17, 34 and 35. Talking about women grinding together in bed and men in bed. One will be taken and...
Yeah, but that's really a reference to when Jesus returns. That's supposed to be a reference to the rapture, not to...
Well...
Yeah, it could be homosexuality, but it really is not.
Well, Romans 1 is full of that as well. So you could say that I'm taking it out of context or something, but it says that women are grinding together and men are in bed. There's a lot of homosexuality in the Bible, but these pastors probably don't read any of those verses, though. They want to handpick a couple verses out of Leviticus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're all stuck in Leviticus land.
They kind of have to.
An NIFB pastor cherry picking a verse to support his claim. Say it ain't so.
Plus, if they took this to mean homosexuality, then they would have to admit that at least half of the homosexuals are saved. Right. Because in those verses, one is taken and one is left.
That's 50%.
Yep.
It could be a total of 4 people, lesbian couple, male couple, and he said one will be taken, one will be left, one will be taken, one will be left.
It makes me wonder, does God want to take the tops or the bottoms? Oh, Lord.
Oh, dear.
There's also 1 Samuel 18, 19, and 20, and 2 Samuel 1. It talks about David and Jonathan. They had a gay relationship.
Yeah. A lot of people think that's the case.
What verses, to your knowledge, do they use to justify their transgender hatred?
The ones that I always hear is, just Genesis, that God made them male and female. But I throw that same one right back at them and say, it says male and female created he, them. He's obviously made a non-binary person there because he's only talking about one person, Adam.
Oh. or an intersex person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's contradictory statements because in Genesis 1, it says they're both created at the same time. But Genesis 2, there's a bit of trouble. He had to play with dirt and a rib. And he created both at the same time in 1, but 2, he had some trouble somewhere. He had to make the man out of dirt and then take a rib out of him to make a woman. That's in the first chapter.
Okay,
that's the one where Adam couldn't be satisfied with a helpmeet chosen from any of the animals that God had made. He was like, flamingo, nah. Centipede, nah. Bunny rabbit, nah. This ain't gonna work for me. So God says, I give up. I'll make one of you.
Okay, we have a question from Dakota Beer Drinker, which is, what is NIFB? And I'm sorry, I should have explained that right at the outset. That is my fault. NIFB is the New Independent Fundamentalist Baptist Church. It was started by Steve Anderson when there was a group within the fundamentalist Baptist churches that felt that the church just was not conservative enough for them. So they splintered off and formed their own group, the New Independent Fundamentalist Baptist Church. And they are an extreme radical group. I don't know how many members they have. I have looked for lists of their church members, and it's rather difficult to find. From what I can find, there's about 14 churches. And the most famous are, of course, Steve Anderson's church, which is Faithful Word Baptist. The one that I featured here, Steadfast Baptist in Texas. Another one is Grace and Fritz's All Scripture Baptist in, it's in Tennessee. I believe it's Knoxville. I believe there's one in Florida and one in Arizona. I'm not sure where all of them are, but they are extremist groups that say that all members of the LGBTQ community should be executed. And they call on the Bible, and you say, hey, I didn't say it, it's the Bible. And to which I always ask, well, are you wearing a polyester suit? Mixed fabric is also an executable offense in the Bible as well.
Leviticus 11, you can't have shrimp or pig. So,
well, they justify that one by saying that in the New Testament it was specifically condoned that all food was now kosher, and you could eat any food. But the rules against wearing mixed fabric, there is no addressing that in the New Testament.
Weren't they also required?
Leviticus only has 2 verses. Leviticus only has 2 verses. That's the only thing they go to.
Weren't they also required to kill disabled people that tried to go to church? Something like that.
That's in. That's also in Leviticus. I believe chapter 27, probably.
Yeah, disabled and blind people. Blind people
Yep.
had it rough too.
Next.
So I had the NIFB thing wrong, huh? Is that correct?
Hey, Jenni, yours is so much more tame and so much more kind. Nasty Ignorati Fail Brotherhood is much kinder than New Independent Fundamentalist Baptist ever could be.
And certainly more kind than anything I would have come up with. So
I think you would have found something else for the F word.
I'd have found something else for them all.
Well, yeah, I tried not to use any nasty words because it's your show.
Yeah.
And, you're granny. I have to respect my elders.
Actually, you're probably the only person in the community that I'm not older than.
God damn it.
I might swear a lot in my video, but I don't use cuss words in my titles because when they see a cuss word in the title, they might want flag it for adult material or something, because I've had that happen to a few of my videos.
Well,
censor your word, kind of.
Yeah.
The title.
Which it was I did a produced video just a week or so ago on one of the NIFB pastors, Grace and Fritz, and featured B, who's in the chat right now, because of his comments about it was a sermon for Memorial Day, and he, of course, as usual, was commenting about gay people, and the title of his sermon was Flags, Hags, and Executive Orders. But if you get 12 minutes into the sermon, he admits that this was a deception, that the real title is there is no L in the word flags, and he only put an L in it to get it past YouTube.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that man.
I really want to take a new bent with all these right wingers and I don't care if it's a religious issue that they're harping about, or a purely political issue. When you look at how they present things, and their demands, and their desires for the way society should be and individuals should behave, the word that keeps coming to mind for me is juvenile. That these people just are not mature enough to accept the fact that there's other people in the world. They are acting exactly like a 2 or 3 year old. No. We've all seen the Terrible Twos. We know what that's about. Well, they never grew up. They never really grew up. They just got older.
Do you remember the video that you played? They say it's the most vile, gross kind of fucking thing ever. How they know? Anyways, they try it. How do you know if it's gross and vile and disgusting?
Good point. Good point.
I don't know. I think if you're going to characterize homosexuality as the most vile, disgusting, blah, 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 blah thing in the history of the world, you don't get out much. There's a lot of world out there, y'all. And a couple of consenting adults having a good Friday evening.
You see male-on-male sex in the animal kingdom.
Have you ever seen something like sheep? You want to disgust it.
Have we ever seen what, Jenny?
Somebody do up a sheep?
Oh.
I mean, it's the problem is that you got to run around front to kiss them.
Dear.
Well, harmonica, and that's a movement I really think we should start, is to stop calling these people, sophisticated adult words for their strange behaviors. We should start calling it exactly what it is: immature, childish, this juvenile behavior. That these people just are too self-centered. They have just not grown up.
And Taram is right. Pastors and preachers don't need to get out much. The children just come to them often willingly, just saying. And it's not just that. In the video that I produced recently, Fritz was going on about the evils of alcohol, of men patting other men on the butt. And I thought, well, obviously you don't watch football. And so I'm thinking, what do you people do? You don't drink, you don't have sex, you don't watch football, you don't. I don't think they do anything.
They probably don't smoke weed either.
Oh, I'm sure they don't.
Why would we go out into the fallen world when all we need is right here?
Huh.
Well, if we want to get back on the topic, I do believe that mainstream churches are starting to take a lead from these guys, but I can't entirely blame them. For some reason, there's a puritanical bent in the entire world right now. It seems to be wanting to be more and more conservative, particularly in terms of sexuality. And I don't get it. Everybody was begging for freedom in sexuality 50 years ago, and now everybody's not everybody. Now people are starting to scream about conservatism and don't touch me, and everything. And it's I don't get it, and I think maybe churches are taking the cues from some of that as well.
Okay.
Seeing that it's okay for them to come out of the closet, so to speak.
That is something you definitely see in the Calvinist churches, which would be the Episcopalian, some of the Baptist, the Reformed. They are very into the Puritan movement. I know that when I was in the Calvinist church, even 20 years ago, they were very much pushing that the Puritans had it right. The Puritans were not as nasty as the press that they get, and that they were very devoted people. That it wasn't so much that they shunned fun things. It was that they took such joy in the little things in life, just in everyday chores, that you could find joy in just sweeping your floor. And as long as you were finding your joy in staying at home and doing your chores, you didn't need anything else.
They were thrown out of England.
Yep.
That's why they ended up here.
Mm-hmm. Ricardo says, I've been watching Greg's sermons, and although I'm not one to judge people on their mannerisms, I have to say there's a lot of smoke there to not have some fire. Yeah, and that's what bugs me. All of these pastors, for everything that they keep saying, I just really think that at some point one of the church members is going to go and murder someone and think that they are doing a good deed for God.
Or one day we're going to find one of these hate gay preachers in a motel with some young man buggering them in a bunghole, and we'll catch them.
Well, that's also another one of those fairly standard Republican moves. There's people who keep scorecards of this sort of thing, and virtually every one of them who's caught in this hypocritical episode in their life regarding sexuality is Republican. It's a riot. It just makes me laugh so hard.
And the thing is, though, it should not be a big deal. They have made it a big deal and this huge shameful thing. And if they would just leave everybody else the hell alone, they could go do whatever they want to do with their consenting adult partner or partners, and it not be a problem. But because they've got everyone all riled up that this is the most disgusting thing in the world, then all of a sudden, every time we find out that one of them is disgusted by their own predilections, it becomes this huge, ridiculous catastrophe. And it's sad.
Do you think that one thing that might be fanning this is the fact that church numbers are dwindling and pastors have to do crazier and crazier stuff to try to get attention?
Just go search YouTube, okay? All the nice pastors have low subscribers. All the hateful pastors have the most subscribers because there's a lot of people who want to express that hate, and that's a vehicle for them and an influence for them to spread more hate. If you get a YouTuber hate preacher to get 100,000 subs, you're going to have a lot more people than 100,000 following him on the streets, and that's dangerous.
I'm thinking also Greg Locke. Now, Greg Locke does not preach murder, but he obviously is kissing Trump's backside absolutely as hard as he can. And the crazier he gets, the more followers he finds himself with. And I once found an interview on the internet with one of his former church members who said that, all of this publicity has just absolutely gone to his head, that he used to be a decent pastor. He used to be concerned about the gospel, and now all he's concerned about is getting more fame and fortune.
I guess he wants one of those private jets.
Yep.
Hey,
That would not
I guess, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to solve my popularity problem. You know, I'm a low subscriber guy. I'm going to start talking about I love Trump and I'm anti-Biden and it's all hoax. And that COVID shit was all hoax too, even though 600,000 people died. You think I'm going to keep my YouTube channel?
No, you'd get taken down for that.
Right. Well, a lot of like right-wing Yahoo pastors keep their YouTube channels.
Yeah, freedom of speech and religion have this weird bleed through where the more excessive and the more repugnant things are sort of allowed to just sit there and fester under the cover of each other, and where a regular, ordinary, secular person would never be able to get away with that kind of crap.
Well, I think that Western liberal society is about to learn a very difficult lesson about tolerating the intolerant, and letting your tolerance backfire on you.
Yeah, I very much fear you're right.
Yeah, Raging Atheist says religion is so basically untouchable in this country, so preachers know they can do almost anything.
Can I reflect on Mark Caesar's comment just a little while ago?
Okay.
Mark Caesar, what was his comment?
Mark Caesar's comment was directed to you, Mo, and he said you couldn't live with yourself if you did that, pretending to be a Trump lover. You have more integrity than that.
I want to understand you fully that you know that I am anti-Bible, anti-Trump, and this guy's appeared in my videos before, so he knows what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying that I'm anti-religion, anti-Trump? I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, he's saying that you have too much integrity to get on your channel and lie just to try to get more views. That's what he's saying.
I got such an incredible head knowledge of the Bible. I could be a pastor myself, but my morals tell me not to. I have higher morals than to endorse this fucking book. No, I don't endorse that book or advocate the use of the words of that book. So there.
How did you become an atheist? Well, I read the Bible.
I've been an unbeliever for 20 years. What happened was when I was 25, I decided to convert myself to Christianity. I picked up the Bible. It's because my ex-wife was Christian, and I wanted to appease to her and get in with her. So I decided to be Christian. But it seemed to be, we went all hardcore and extreme at it that I said, okay, now I want to understand what it's all about. So I read the Bible through and through and through and through. I come up with verses like Psalm 140 verse 10 really did it for me. It's a pray about the unbeliever. Let burning coals fall upon them, and let them not rise up again. That means he wants to burn you to death. So that's when I instantly became an atheist. And you got Hosea 13 where they say you're to slice open pregnant women, kill everyone. That's what made me an atheist. It only took a few verses. That's it. When it comes to burning people or stoning people, I was through with it. You could come up with dozens of verses about burning to death and stoning to death. That did it. I'm done. I'm more moral in that book.
Mm-hmm. Well, you figured it out a lot faster than I did. It took me forever.
Well, I was born with the photographic mind and photographic memory. I'm kind of like I'm kind of sort of like a Rain Man because I fucking remember everything in my head, and I'm not an expert at the Mormon or Quran, but I got that on the side too. But I'm just too engrossed with the Bible because my society is mostly Christian here. So, and I'm anti-Christian. So.
What's also interesting with mainstream and radical religion trying to become more prominent and being given the damn platform to be more prominent, when they are really shrinking in numbers. Only 43% of Americans claim to be a member of a church. And that's down like several percent from the last time it was asked. I think they do it annually, and it's going to continue to go down. Educated societies do not believe in religion, and they just can't. They're counterproductive, and I think that's going to continue here. But these people are, putting up a big fight, to not lose.
Oh,
And we've got another sponsor from Amiga Nuts. Thank you very much, Amiga Nuts.
By the way, you've probably never seen a super chat from me ever. I've been laid off for a whole fucking year.
Well, you have to have 1,000 subscribers before you can get super chats.
No, I'm not.
Oh, you mean from
maybe
you?
I might want to give to you.
Oh, that is perfectly okay. I do not expect financial support
my
from
company,
anyone.
My company laid me off over a year ago, and I'm still laid off. And money shit's gonna run out pretty soon.
Well, then you keep what you need. I do
fine.
not want anyone giving me money when from what they need. I'm more than happy to accept support from people who are willing to give it, but I do not need the money. So if you need the money, by all means, keep it.
Let me tell you something. My love for you is enough.
That's all right. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that so much. That was a wonderful gift.
All right, I've got a question about this.
Okay.
This NIFB foolishness. Is there, and I'm open to answers pro and con. Is there any realistic advantage to continuing to platform these people? I mean, obviously for YouTube, they get the ad revenue. So I'm not talking about YouTube, but when we get together and we bellyache and we moan about them and we make fun of them and their bad haircuts and their ugly suits and their sitting in a field around a table for no readily discernible reason and what have you. Is there anything really to be gained there, or are we just continuing to leak little fragments of rotten ideas out into the ecosystem?
That is an excellent question, Junkshop, and I have been wondering that very much myself. Are we perpetuating the problem by even talking about it?
Well, that's always a question when you're dealing with the objectionables in a liberated society. Whether it's, do you give fascist voice? Do you give totalitarians voice? Do you give communist voice? It's supposedly you have to give everyone a voice.
The society has to, but do we?
Well, we are society.
Ouch. Okay, that's fair. No, that's a good point. That's a good point. I'll take the hit.
But I think James Seiler is right as well. I think these ideas will only grow if they are unopposed. And so as much as our talking about them may give them broader viewership, more people may know about it. I think if we leave these kind of ideas unopposed, that they are just going to grow. And I titled this show, is this creeping into the mainstream? And I think it is creeping into the mainstream. And I think if we were not talking about it, it would be creeping even faster.
Hey, do you remember when I was talking about, all right, you're doing a YouTube search and you're looking for a church sermon, and the nicey nice guy you don't want to even listen to. Fucking boring. And you go on to the hate preacher videos, and people eat that shit up. I mean, they might not be believers. They just want to express their anger and hatred. And what the fuck does it matter? Okay, I'm in a place that has 3 different units. This lady over here, I don't care what the fuck she's doing. My neighbor over there, who cares the fuck what they're doing? Guy upstairs, who cares what the fuck they're doing? I don't care if they're banging a male or a female. I don't even fucking know. So leave it at that.
I do think there's one comment here from the Rage that's really interesting, and here's an idea that I've been kicking around a bit. The Rage says the only way that you will ever have a chance to reach them is if you talk to them. And I have kicked around the idea of possibly inviting Grayson Fritz onto my stream to defend himself. The only thing is, I am not sure that I could handle it. I think I'm not sure that I could listen to him and not lose my mind.
Have a qualified partner with you.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's exactly what I would need to do.
Or a hell of a moderator.
Yeah.
God, the idea of having that man in the same room, it just makes my skin absolutely crawl.
When we're out there and we're trying to combat flat earthers, for example, we know the likelihood of changing the mind of that person who's on the flat earth side is very, very small. It does happen here and there, although they usually tend to do it at their own volition, on their own time at home or something. They come to a realization, not on live on the air. But I don't hope to change the mind of a Nathan Oakley or anything like that. I want to change the mind of the kid who's sitting on the fence, who's wondering, that is the earth really flat, or is there really a God? Is the Bible a valid piece of literature, or just some bogus crap? And those are the people that we have, that we're here for. We're not going to do a thing with the dyed in the wool old timers. They're gone.
That's probably a good point. But you're right. There are people who can be reached, just not the people we normally think of when we think of these movements. Sorry, Mo.
Oh, I started to interrupt you because you talked first. But about the flat Earth crap, I did research because here it is. Yeah, this fucking encyclopedia, the concordance. It's really good help with videos, because you just type in any word, you find out where the verses are. I came up with 50 verses for a flat Earth, and I did a video, and it was fucking bomb. So there's actually over 200 and something verses about a flat Earth.
Interesting.
But I wasn't even bothered going through all that. I made one good banging video out of it that said, I'm not going to deal with the crap anymore because I got other subject matter to do. Because I got a Baptist friend. I got a lady friend who is a hardcore Baptist. And she says, it's all okay. I'm redeemed. It's the blood. I'm redeemed. It's the blood. So that's kind of the video material I'm putting out now. The blood magic from 2,000 years ago. As if the fuck it's supposed to do something magical for you right now.
Going back to the comment from the Rage, Rage said, I thought for a brief moment I had reached on John Guzman, a 12-year-old NIFBY. His parents came into the side chat and started spouting off, and next thing John was right back to his old stance. And I would not totally discount that you may have made some progress there, because with a 12-year-old, they have no choice but to say what they're told to say and do what they're told to do. But I'd be willing to bet $1 to a donut hole that you probably did get through, and he's probably just holding in and biding his time until he gets the independence to be able to say and do whatever he knows to be right.
Yeah, it's not like he can unhear what he heard.
Right.
So yeah, you did a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think this kind of thinking about doing what you can with the people who are in the middle, it's true for all the conspiracy theories. I mean, all the conspiracy theories are identical. It's just a change of names and goals of it. They're all structured the same way, that there's a conspiracy or there's some bad guy and this is what they're doing and they're coming for you.
I was chuckling at Harmonica Man's comment that he now wants a donut. That's an expression that I have used for decades. I first heard it from a math teacher way back in high school.
I missed it. I'm sorry.
I said that I would bet $1 to a donut hole.
Oh, okay. I remember when Dunkin' Donuts started selling donut holes.
Yes, I remember that too.
Hey, do you know, after I became an atheist, I was wondering, okay, remember the Jesus story about the crucifixion? There was 3 guys instead of just one Jesus. These 2 guys, they didn't do anything kind of magical for you, but this one special guy did something fucking magical for you. This one act of whatever the fuck did something, is still doing something for you 2,000 years later. There's a magical incantation that just goes on and on, generation to generation, and there's some kind of magical lucky charms going on here. What the fuck? I mean, how does that cross shit do anything for us right now today?
It's magic, Charlie Brown.
Hey, do you know I covered a video that had 24 different variations, 24 passages of others that were crucified throughout the Old Testament. Well, they didn't do shit for us today, did they?
Mm-hmm.
There's dozens of more crucifixion stories besides the Jesus, but this one's special singular story is supposed to fucking mean something. Well, those other guys do. They were no magic.
Yeah.
So have any of you heard anything in any other than the NIFB churches that have gone to this extreme in their hatred? What I hear from people like AIG, who are also, there's no question that they're homophobes, but at least they're still on love the sinner, hate the sin.
Well, you got Israel and the Palestinians killing each other.
Good point. Good point.
Much different.
Mm-hmm.
if you were LGBTQ gay and you're dressed up like a drag queen and you go in the Salvation Army, ask for help, they ain't gonna really help you, are they? Salvation Army is a cult in themselves. You know, they'll help you out. They're not gonna give you bread or soup before they tell you about the word first, though.
Yeah, that's very true. I guess I've heard lesser and certainly less homicidal versions of the same teachings other places. It wasn't until I was introduced to the NIFB that I realized there still are people who take this kill out the evil from among ye sorts of passages literally. Today, in the era of the internal combustion engine and the internet. Oh, it's painful.
And when I found out that I was gonna go into this video, I tried to do some study beforehand.
We lost Jenni.
I tried to do some study beforehand because I'm not an expert on this topic, because I'm just a lonely guy here sitting in front of a fucking computer, and I'm not out there in the world where they are. But I see the hateful speech on TikTok, Twitter, or YouTube, Facebook, all over the fucking place. Anyone hear of MeWe? MeWe is the worst. They have no rules there.
A MeWe? I've never heard that.
MeWe is an app other than Facebook or Twitter.
Well, it's getting close to the top of the hour, and we are planning to continue the show for another 30 minutes like we usually do. But Jenni has also wanting to go to another show. Jen of Auntie Jen's Little Corner. Is it still Auntie Jen's, or is it just Jen's Little Corner now?
I think it's just Little Corner.
Okay. Jen is doing a show, and I believe it's a reverse trivia show, which sounds like a lot of fun. So at the top of the hour, you can continue to watch Jenni on Jen's channel. And if you want to have two tabs open and keep both shows running, you know, I'm certainly down for that. Jenni, before you go, would you like to tell us about any other shows that you might want to promote?
Well, I'm unclear as to whether or not Purple's going to be doing his show this Wednesday and then Thursday night. If he is, I'll be on. But I thought I heard him say something, or her say something about not doing a show on tomorrow afternoon. So I'm just unsure. I have to figure that out. And then of course, Thursday night, 10:30 Friday, the Side Strike channel.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
And it was a pleasure. Nice to meet you, Mo.
Oh, thank you, Jenni.
And Junkshop, as always.
And thank you so much for coming, Jenni. I appreciate having you, and your comments are always sharp and to the point, and you know they're always very helpful.
Well, thank you. It's always nice being had. Good night.
Good night. Jen is here. So Jenni is leaving to go to Jen's program. Okay, there were a couple of comments in the chat that got skipped over that I kind of wanted to go back for. The Rage said, people mentioned Mr. Atheist, the work of the Pumpkin Crew did on the NIFB 2 years ago is infamy. They got most of the major preachers taken down. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I was aware of what they did with all of the pumpkin stuff. But I was not aware that they got a lot of that taken down as a result.
Go to the comment where someone said I'm inconsiderate.
Someone said you're inconsiderate?
Mark
Caesar?
Yeah. Oh. I want to know about inconsiderate.
I think he was joking.
Well, no. You see, I'm I'm kind of mouthy, and I might shout over some of you. Sorry.
Yeah, no, he was joking about someone interrupting the interrupting. Yeah, it was a joke. So don't take that to heart.
I appreciate this Mark guy. I think he's a sub, and I've seen him in my channel. So, well.
An atheist God says that Florida has passed a law that says that children in school have to observe a moment of silence. It's mandatory. I actually don't have a problem with that, because a moment of silence can be a secular thing as well. And having, especially if it's first thing in the morning, you've got the rush getting to school, getting to your desk, making sure everything's in place, and taking a moment to gather your thoughts and clear your mind of whatever went on at home, so that you can focus on what's going on at school. I actually don't have a problem with it. I realize that for a lot of people it's prayer in disguise. I realize that a lot of people are going to be using that as a time of prayer. But because a secular person can use that just as easily as a time of secular meditation, and as just for thought gatherings, organizing your day, I actually don't have a problem with it. One of the things I think is really ironic along those lines is way back when I was in my 20s, so this would have been the early 80s, the church was having a satanic panic moment over the schools wanting to have a time of meditation. Because they couldn't have prayer in school anymore. Prayer had just recently been taken out of the school. And so the schools were saying, okay, we're going to have a moment of meditation instead. And the churches were absolutely panicking over this, saying, they're bringing transcendental meditation into our schools. All of our kids are going to be indoctrinated into TM. So they were more afraid of a moment of silence than the secular community was.
When I was in middle school and high school, I was too damn high all the time. I was doing like acid and mescaline and shit like that. So I was like a teenage rebellion. I was high all my teenage years. That's what high school means, right?
I never thought of that before. Okay, Julie likes feeling included. One thing that I like to do with the LGBTQ paranoid people is to ask them whether or not they consider me to be sinful. And because I'm asexual. And I've had one or two of them say yes. Being any member of the LGBTQ community is a sin. And I say, okay, what is my lifestyle? What am I doing wrong? And I said, well, you don't want sex. I said, well, what's wrong with that? Yeah, I had one guy tell me, well, that's wrong because you're not wanting to procreate. And I said, I'm 60 years old and I've had a hysterectomy. I couldn't procreate if I tried.
My parents both quit having sex at 40 because they had 11 children. And damn, my dad hadn't worked 2 jobs all his life because he had fucking 11 children.
Oh, Harmonica Man, you have had one heck of a tough life. Harmonica Man says, I didn't go to high school. I was working.
Yeah, cool.
He says he was abandoned at 14. Yeah, that is awful. I'm so sorry to hear that. But I'm glad that you now have a community where you can be accepted and share some of that pain.
Wow.
And B says about my asexuality, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I had another interesting conversation on Twitter with someone who was getting into explicit detail of what pleased God in the way of sex and what didn't. He was saying that anal sex is absolutely, unpleasing to God. And I said, well, what if it's between two consenting, married, heterosexual people? And he's, nope, it's still wrong. So there was someone else in the conversation, and he asked him, so does God watch to make sure you're doing it right?
Yes. Yes, yes, he does. God be peeping.
There's been times, I was so drunk I didn't know what hole I was putting in. So did God see that?
Well, the other thing is, if the point of sex is to please God, what is God doing while he's watching?
He's wanking it.
I'm sure it's a very chaste enjoyment. He appreciates it from afar, like a sort of a Zen monk appreciation.
Hey, maybe that's what creates hell, because God is coming.
What about trisexuality? I'll give it a try. Give it a chance. Oh, here, this is a good one. Does God have a set of scorecards that he holds up?
Yes.
10. Winner.
6.5. Could have tried harder. Oh my goodness.
So what do we do about the NIFB church?
Report them every damn chance we get.
Well,
at least on YouTube.
What I've been doing is, since I'm so engrossed in YouTube and I have no other life, that YouTube I got hundreds of people that I subscribe to, but YouTube tries to point out other stuff to recommend. And it's if I see something from one of the hateful Baptist people, I do click report.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that really magically does anything, but
I know a single report doesn't do anything, because I know that the first time that I did a video on Grayson Fritz, I know at least a dozen people reported him, and that video is still there.
Well, you know what? I don't know much about all this topic, but I do know about Steve Anderson because I studied him, because he's kind of one of the most popular YouTubers of them all, and he's been banned in a couple dozen countries, and his main YouTube accounts, whatever they were banished and gone. But he gets other people to film them to make videos in their YouTubes. So he's using like minor channels to still produce his crap. I don't know whether he does Daily Motion or Vimeo, but you cannot get popular by doing Daily Motion or Vimeo or any of those other apps. YouTube's the place. You got to get them here. Why don't everyone start reporting when they see them? Let's do that.
And even just like Rach said, just speaking out against them is important, because if not, they just get to stand unopposed out in their little field with their little table. But
meanwhile, little atheists like ourselves get banned from our accounts and gets all fucked up. But they get to keep their hate spreading speech and not get banned off the internet. Let's ban them off the internet.
Okay, I just sent Raging Atheist a link so that he can hop in with us as well, because he's got a lot of really good comments, and he obviously has some experience in this, and I think I think that would make a good addition to the show as well. We've only got 20 minutes left, so but it would be good to get a few other comments as well. Mark Caesar says he would score well on the diving.
yeah, I don't know what else there is to do besides speak out against them, report the crap videos when they're reportable, and like Rage said, talk to them if you can stand it.
Mm-hmm.
I myself couldn't stand to talk to them.
Hello, Rage. Welcome.
Hey, how are y'all doing?
We're fine. How are you?
I'm good. I'm taking a night off and like doing research for a debate I'm going to have on critical race theory. So this was a nice break because it's something I know about.
Cool. Is the debate going to be a modern day debate?
No, it's going to be on a Christian channel somewhere. I'm not sure where yet. Yeah, it's against a right winger, Will Kincaid. He's not going to know anything about it. I'm not too worried about it, but I do hope to educate him during the course of it. But yeah, this is a topic that's close to my heart. I started dealing with the NIFB before I even knew what the NIFB was. I started dealing with Matt Powell, and just by my dealings with him, I came in close contact with the NIFB, and now over the last 2 years, I consider myself somewhat of an expert on them. And yeah, like I truly believe, like with hate groups like this, like we saw it with the neo-Nazis in the 90s, we really pushed them to the shadows, the skinheads, the neo-Nazis. And then we saw a figure like Donald Trump come out and just bring them right back out of those shadows. And now it's becoming more and more of an acceptable thing. So when I think you allow these outlier groups, and I'm calling them an outlier group, although I just spent 2 streams saying they're not necessarily an outlier group, but an outlier group in the extent of their hatred. When you ignore those groups, it just gives them breeding room to fester and recruit unopposed.
Yeah.
Which is my opinion. I never try to argue too much about it because I don't think that there's really any right answer in what you do with the NIFB. Because as a society, we just haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah. That's so true, because they are getting away with advocating for murder. They flat out tell their people it's okay to commit murder,
and they'll get away with it. I think about Bill O'Reilly and all of his he was demonizing this one specific abortion doctor. Can't remember the doctor's name. Well, one of his viewers went and killed that doctor. Bill O'Reilly never faced ramifications for that, and none of these preachers will, especially given the protections of religion in the First Amendment. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I believe it was the First Amendment. Don't kill me if I'm wrong about that.
No, you're right. You're right. First Amendment gives both freedom of religion and freedom to practice religion.
There's got to be a boundary point, though, because these yahoos are stepping way above the boundary point of these are terrorist threats that if any one of us say it,
I agree.
On our ass.
I agree. I mean, like I said, the clip that was used of Shelley is actually Shelley being fairly mild. If you listen to him talk about the Pulse nightclub shooting, you won't get through it. It's disgusting. It'll make you want to vomit. It's just, and they eat it up. Yeah, they eat it up.
One of the things a point I brought up earlier was I don't see how people can bring their children to this. You know, if they're into this, you know, that's one thing. But exposing your children to this, that is quite another. I don't see how they can think children are ready to hear this kind of thing.
Yeah, and I saw it in the chat earlier. You know, you know, you can say that they're fascist and they're right wing. That's definitely true. But to say that they don't have religiosity, they're born into it and they're indoctrinated from babies. If you watch a Steven Anderson video, you're going to hear babies crying because you know they don't separate. There's not a place for kids to go. The kids are right there in the main sermon, hearing that main sermon, and they're being indoctrinated to this. And most of them are being homeschooled with a harsh emphasis on this fundamentalist religion. So you know, they're being brainwashed very young. That's why it's almost impossible to reach Matt Powell, because everything he says is just something his dad told him, and he believes it 100%.
Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
You know, with him, I was hoping, you know, when he had a kid, that would be it, but it never really happens for all of these NIFB members. When they get children, it's almost like they double down on their hard positions. And yeah, so I'm kind of losing hope for Matt Powell at this point, where I've always been able to keep it like some semblance of it. Like, people are always like, "How can you still talk to him?" I'm like, "Because, dude, I used to be him." But there comes a point when I had to acknowledge I wasn't, because I was open to change, you know. So, and he just might not be.
Yeah, I'm really in the same boat as you, Rage, because I was, you know, very conservative for a long time, but never that extreme. You know, I certainly never wished death on anyone. And I also never felt that it was the place of the church to police people who were not members of the church. I always felt that the position of the church should be to bring people into the church, and then the church should only police their own.
Yeah, I agree, and hopefully my microphone is actually working. And I was probably
Yes.
sounding like crap.
Well,
I just realized it wasn't
thinking
plugged in.
possibly you were in a car. I thought possibly you were in a vehicle.
I didn't realize I didn't plug in the mic. Yeah, I agree, and I was raised somewhat fundamental, somewhat not. Like, you know, I was raised YEC, and I was raised homophobic and racist. But, you know, like, my dad was a workaholic, so we never really went to church that much. It was just my friends influenced me. So I didn't have it as hardcore as a lot of these people do. And we see, like, people come out of the religion and they talk about their deconversion stories all the time. It's just, it seems with this group, it's really rare, and I'm not sure why. And I think it's because of what you was mentioning. The babies are literally right there in the congregation, so this is being hammered into their brains at such a young age. It's almost impossible to defeat that childhood indoctrination.
Plus, there's the whole community thing. I mean, if you grow up from babyhood listening to this stuff, and then you grow up in the church, and then you go on to in some way work for the church, and then your entire life revolves around the church, how the hell are you going to walk away from the church? What are you going to do? What?
To become an atheist YouTuber.
Well,
Yeah.
That's every once in a while. Yeah, there's one of those.
But and you guys kind of hit on it. I think Granny asked the question earlier. Is this like a response to like people leaving the churches? And I think that it is. It's a direct response. Like, in most of my conversations with Christians, they'll tell you about the secular world and how they're kind of being eaten away, and this is like a spiritual warfare against the secular world. And groups like the NIFB, they follow the Quiverful movement. They believe in breeding an army of Christ, and that's why you have such severe indoctrination. So this literally is to them a battle. You know, when I make the comments, these are the under his eye Christians. If you've ever seen the Handmaid's Tale, these are those Christians that take over America. You know, this is what we have to be worried about. They're not close, but Trump made that whole scenario a whole lot closer than it's ever been before. So I think that we should at least start considering it now. A very loud minority can take power in this country, and we've seen it time and time again.
Especially when, you know, like the Republican Party is trying to also control who can and cannot vote.
Yep, and when the Democrats are going to capitulate to that and not take that stand, the Republicans they took their stand for 4 years and we capitulated, and now we're capitulating and letting them take their stand. Like I'm so sick of Democrats placating and not following through with their words. Get rid of the filibuster. Don't give this minority the power to overturn a majority of votes, especially when democracy's on the line. But yeah, we're in a state in this country where we're coming to a reckoning. Cultures are clashing. You know, the country's smaller, the world's smaller. People are talking, and there's going to be results of that. I just don't think any of us can predict that. You know?
Could go either way, and it could go either way so hard, so fast.
Yeah, that's the scary thing.
It's terrifying.
One sign of hope that I have seen, though, has been the Supreme Court. I was terrified when Amy Coney Barrett made it onto the Supreme Court, and I thought between her and Kavanaugh, that we were going to see nothing but right-wing policies coming out of the court, and they have surprised me. Just this, was it today or yesterday? They supported transgender people by refusing to hear a Virginia case where a high school student had been not allowed to use the men's room. They told him that he could use the women's room, or he could use a private restroom in the nurse's office. And he said that it interfered with his education, that he was stigmatized. And he won in the lower court, and the Supreme Court refused to hear it. So that means the lower court stands.
Yeah. There's been a lot of surprising actions. I think they definitely lean a conservative or a corporate slant. Like, they're definitely corporatist, all of them. So our Supreme Court is like completely corporate now. But there has been surprises. The new Supreme Court ruling on the Catholic institution trying to do adoption, I believe it was in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And the Supreme Court came on in favor of that adoption agency and their rights to deny gay marriage, and that to me is a red flag, red alarm. But they've also had like several cases when it comes to homosexual rights as well as abortion that they've shocked me. I was like, for sure that it was going to go the other way. So yeah, I have been pleasantly surprised. Although the new verdict that just came down is kind of hit me in the gut a little bit.
Which one is that?
That's the adoption agency in the Supreme Court.
One. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, really, it's not as bad as people are making it out to be. It's they didn't rule that gay people can't adopt, but they ruled that a religious institution doesn't have to accept gay marriage. So it's bad, but it's not as bad as some people are making out.
Yeah, they ruled that the Catholic Church can refuse to accept gay couples as prospective adoptive parents.
Yeah.
So if you're gay and you want to adopt children in Philadelphia, you have to go through a different agency. And I think one of the reasons why the court ruled against or in favor of the Catholic Church is there were other agencies available. I think if the Catholic Church had been the only agency, that they probably would have lost that one.
Yeah, I agree. I think that if there hadn't been plenty of other agencies, some agencies specifically designed for the LGBTQ community, that the Supreme Court probably would have sided with them. I think the only real losers in this are potential children that's not going to have a wider pool of good parents.
And I work with children that are in that pool. I am a court-appointed special advocate, and having prospective parents, especially foster parents, who are not going to be bigoted against LGBTQ members, any kind of anything that's just a little bit different, they always need that. So many of the foster parents who are volunteering, frankly, are right-wing Christians. And part of that is, the Christian teaching. We need to take care of the children if we're going to be if we're going to be against abortion, then we need to be in favor of adoption. We need to be supporting, children that need homes. And it really is the right-wing Christians that are coming out more to be foster parents.
Well, yeah, I mean, secular people don't have children at the rates that religious people do anyway.
Right.
They have children later. So, yeah, I could totally see that. It's and also, as I said, fundamental Christians, they want all the children they get their hands on.
Yeah.
The more for the army of Christ. Not every Christian is like that. I personally hope the God is grays of the world win out in the Christian community, but I mean that's a pipe dream, I think.
Be amazing though.
Yeah, it would be great if before I die, it could just 30, 40 years down the road, most Christians are just chill. I could deal with that. Because she is awesome. I'd love to talk to her.
Well, we are getting close to the bottom of the hour, so I'm going to give everyone a chance to put in any closing thoughts that they might have on the topic, and then we will move around to shilling for anything people want to shill for. So, Rach, I'll let you start. Is there anything that you would like to add before, as a closing thought?
Well, yeah, just like when it comes to the NIFB, whatever you think on it, your thoughts matter and they are relevant, and we need to have the discussion within our community on how we deal with these topics for sure. But I would just say from any of these extremist groups, don't run away from them. Don't ignore the problem. I don't think that happens. Whatever the discourse ends up being, knowing about them's half the battle. Once you know about them, then you can't be surprised from any of the things that they do. So that would be my parting words, and try to see the humanity in people, even in the worst of them. It's hard to do, but that it does help.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Junk Shop.
Well, my tagline works as well against when discussing the NIFB as it ever does. Stand against hate. Because that's all they stand for. So.
They just want more smiting.
And they deserve some smiting. But I will not be the one to provide it.
Except with your tongue.
Except with my tongue.
Mo, any closing thoughts from you?
Since I've been on YouTube, I made like 150 videos, and throughout that process, I never ever wanted to use Leviticus 18:22 or Leviticus 20:13 in my videos. But those are the most hateful verses that they can pick out in Leviticus, when Leviticus has 858 verses and 342 commandments, but they only cherry pick those two to justify their hate when they're avoiding the dietary laws and the clothing shit and the rounding the corners of your beard shit, whatever. There's so many hundreds of laws in Leviticus, but I only even pick these two.
Yeah, they get to choose which ones through Revelation, is what they told me. Revelation reveals which Levitical laws they follow.
But as a closing thought, I'm going to give you two more verses.
Okay.
I did some studying up before I went on this video.
Okay.
There actually is some religious tolerance in the Bible. There's Micah 4:5 that says, they believe in another God. Go on and walk your way with your other God. But we will still believe in our God. And then it also appears in 2 Kings 17:29. But that's just a little pinpointing of me. There's so much horrible shit beyond that. It's like, that old meme that says you pick a little corn out of the pile of shit. So my name's Atheist Moe. My name is actually Maurice Daniels, but Atheist Moe, subscribe and like, please.
Okay, very good. Okay, and anything you might want to show for that you have coming up? Mo, do you have any upcoming videos?
I did my last 4 videos. I did a flat Earth video where I did 50 verses in only 25 minutes, and then I did a 35-minute video about oh, he died for your sins. Oh no, he didn't die for his sins. Forgive sins. See, I got this special lady friend that's a hardcore Baptist. And, she's like, she believes in all the redemption in the blood, and that's what I've been dealing with lately. Redemption in the blood. And you know, there's dozens of contradictions on the side of that. So that's what I'm doing.
Okay, very good. Junk Shop, what do you have coming up?
Well, I continue to put out increasingly sporadic content on my channel because I can't figure out a schedule to save me. I am going to be having a new episode of the Chronic Atheist podcast, which is an actual honest-to-God podcast that's available wherever fine podcasts are sold, where I talk about my ongoing chronic illnesses and mental illness in particular. And there should be a new episode of that coming up soon, is really the biggest thing I have to shill at the moment.
Okay. And Rage, what do you have coming up? Other than your debate.
Yeah, let me unmute. Not much. Tomorrow I'm talking to Michael the Canadian Atheist on his podcast. And you know, I've got the eye of Brett Keane again. He's obsessed with me again, so that's always fun. You know.
Oh wow.
But other than that, yeah, not much scheduled yet outside of the debate and the talk with Michael tomorrow.
Okay, very good, very good. I think I'm gonna have a talk with you about how to get people's
Julie,
attention.
Julie girl acknowledged me. Thank you.
Julie is Junk Shop's significant other.
Oh, thank you.
Are you married or are you significant other?
We are married.
You are married. Okay.
Well, nice.
And what I have upcoming is I recently did a video with Mama Atheist talking about responding to a priest who says that Jesus physically resurrected and ascended into heaven. So we talked about what would happen to a physical body if it actually did ascend into space.
Yeah,
It's so good.
Thank you. Yeah, it was released to my patrons, and Julie and Junk Shop are one of my patrons, so they have the pre-show that they get to watch without ads, and then I will release that to the public tomorrow. Thank you so much to everyone in the chat. Thank you for joining me, Mo. Thank you, Junk Shop, and thank you especially to Raging Atheist, who jumped in at the last minute to help us out with a topic that he knew well. I know that Jenny is already gone. She jumped over to Jen's channel, but thank you again to Jenny for being with us. And so, and thank you especially to everyone who gave the super chats, to Julie and to Amiga Nuts and to Ricardo. Thank you for, just all of the support for the channel. And everyone just, get vaccinated. If you have not been vaccinated, please get vaccinated. If you are not vaccinated, wear a mask and live your life.